Remember, you're drunk and you're craving for a second cigarette?
Girl, they said, I didn't even know what that was. But actually, that's something. I said, what is this one? They said, okay, action. I said, oh, okay. But it wasn't part of what I wanted to say, but I needed a cigarette. And I went down, opened my bag, took out my cigarette, and my dad had bought me an Ericsson phone. It was a long, thick brick phone at that time. It was an Ericsson. So it was on the top, and I put it here, took out the cigarette. I really wanted the cigarette. And I lit my cigarette, and I said, hello, and I said, girl, I know you're pregnant. I don't want to know who it is. You're going to win. If I like you are not going to stay in the ghetto. Mangwana chaye. I'm going to call my friend, he's a doctor. I'm going to pick you up. We sort this out. Don't tell anybody. Because you're going to win. In other words, I was saying we're going to have an abortion. Before I'd even finished, I'm smoking my cigarette thinking, before I finish that, cut! I'm hearing, cut! Everybody's like, yeah! And then I'm like, okay, what did they do? Number one, they needed a girl child because the character of Joyce Hooney smoked cigarettes. I didn't notice.
Know that.
I had not seen it. I didn't know. I just wanted to smoke.
Talk about being at the right time, smoking a cigarette, needing a cigarette at the right time.
About the rightful.
Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Moments with Nyengeterai. And first of all, I just want to say thank you to this community. I'm really humbled by your love. Those comments, they really keep me going. The shares and just the amazing community that's being created here. I'm really in awe, and I'm really doing my best to bring in the conversations that you want, the people, the guests and everything. And there's a guest that you've asked me to bring for a while. And we've been going back and forth, almost did, but I always believe that God has a time for everything. And I hope that you'll be blessed with this conversation today with my guests, none other than Tintin, as I know her.
And we have to go.
Drum roll.
You're so right.
Hey.
Yes. Everything. But you once said this to me way back when I was still on radio, that everything in its rightful season. Everything in its rightful season. And we have been back and forth in my coming one. So I just want to get the part by what usual people were requesting. They were requesting to have
for
me.
you. They were actually asking, can you bring her on? We want to learn more from her, hear her story.
Wow.
So thank you for, availing yourself.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So for those few who don't know you, but for those also who know you, who think they know you, who is Tintin? I know Tintin is not your name, but really, who is Tino?
Tinopona is my name. Tinopona. And I think names are so, my father was he named all of us, and all of us have such unique names, and I, by grace, I have that gift as well with my children. I have a gift of naming as well because names are so powerful. So my name is Tinopona. Who is Tinopona? With all that I have been through, with all the curveballs and all the highs and the lows, who is Tinopona? Tinopona is a survivor. It doesn't matter what regard it is. It doesn't matter in what, if it's personal, if it's professional, if it's spiritual, whatever it is. Tinopona is a survivor. Yes, we know Tinopona, the actress, survivor. Tinopona, the broadcaster, survivor. Tinopona, the endometriosis, I live with endometriosis, survivor. Tinopona, the cervical cancer survivor. Tinopona, the noisemaker who talks about this and that and, expresses herself, the survivor. So ultimately, by his grace, I sit here. And when you say, who are you? I'm Tinopona, the survivor.
Oh, wow. I love that. The survivor. Tinopona.
And remember, it's Tino. If we're knowing our Shona, it's not in Tinopona. It's Tinopona. So when Baba named me, you fill in the gap. Where you can't have a platform, don't worry. I'll wear those shoes and let's get to the next level. Tinopona shit.
Oh, yeah. He knew. He named you appropriately.
Can you believe it? Considering I was born at the roadblock.
Okay, let's go again.
How's my name?
Let's start. Okay, so how did you...
So, my mom is pregnant, and I'm not a city girl, remember. I grew up Kwamirao, Kwamtoko. Yeah. So I went to the private schools in the city, but Vandino Ziva, my life is Murewa Mtoko. Shout out, Murewa Mtoko Yopsh. So my mom is pregnant. She's at the shop kwa Mtoko. She begins her labor pains. She's a matron, she's a sister, a senior sister Kugomo. She's already said, yes, but kwa Mtoko. She's already said, I'm going to birth in Harare. She gets into the car in labor, drives, gets to the Enterprise, and at that time it was just when our war was ending, in 1979, there were still curfews and stuff. Vangwane, the roadblock, and the soldiers wouldn't. So my dad is in Harare with my siblings, my older ones, on that side of the roadblock. She's on this side. They're saying 6 o'clock. It's late now. You can't cross. She's doing, I'm going to die in Dakufai. I'm going to die. My father's saying, no, Tinopona, Tinopona chete. And being there, then I think so many centimeters. By the time the ambulance came and put her in the car, one of the soldiers went with her in the ambulance to go to Harare Hospital, what we call then Kugomo. Yeah, delivered Kugomo with the soldier there. Yes, 3. What year are we now? I got the privilege to go to his funeral.
Oh,
Yeah, he passed on. I found out he was also from Rewa side. He passed on about 5 years ago. And I'd known my story, so I'd known this person in and out of my life. That he kept saying, as my father instructed him to say, make sure mkwadzi wangu afe anotopona chete. So this soldier felt it was his honor to make sure.
Wow.
So Tinopona, that's how my father kept shouting across, Tinopona, ayo, ufe Tinopona, Tinopona, Tinopona. And here I am.
Wow. What a way to come into the world.
Yeah, talk about the drama girl.
You know, the drama started from day one. So talk to me about Tinopona, the young lady, the young girl. What are the main things that influenced your child, that influenced who you are? I mean, when you look at your childhood, what are some of the main highlights of your childhood that influenced who you are today?
I've been writing a book about my life for over 3 years now. I just can't get round to it's because I'm trying to put it in chapters, and sometimes I'm like, wow, I did that. I have lived a life for the longest time where I live for the now. People term it as free spirit, happy-go-lucky, do you? I didn't know these terms, but I just lived it. So a lot of the influence that I have now as a woman, honestly and truly, is because I became a woman in California, in America. That's where I left at 17 and came back in my late 20s. Early 20s, went back and came back again. But who I am as a woman came through from the influence of California. Okay, as a woman. I left as a teen and came back as a woman. As a child, obviously, which I think it's the right way to go, my parents influenced me greatly, especially my father. They say I have no recollection. Like I said, I lived much of a life of the then and the now. That's just who I was as a person. So meaning that whatever I did, I put my all into it. Whatever I did, it was 100%. I don't do half measures. It was, if I'm going to be in trouble, let's just go and be trouble. If I'm going to do good, let's do good 150%, So influence-wise, as a child, definitely my parents played a big role, especially my father, the late Chief Nyamko, played which only in hindsight I see it now. They used to tell me that I was very close to him as a baby. I used to hold on to his pants when he used to try and... I have no recollection of this. In fact, up until my first son, Yambuko Mukana, my father named him Mukana as in Mungwe Mukana, another chance to make, things right or whatever it is. I didn't realize that, or I didn't store. I wish I could turn back the hands of time. I think we all go through that. I wish. So I'm probably not supposed to do this. So when you have things like this, that you document and you write, we were told that in our culture, this is by the way, this is, yeah. You don't know now, you know. This is so important to document. Taiti kudarama folk tales that parents do know, so that stories would be told on and told on. That's mean we don't do that anymore. We're losing so much. So I really, in hindsight, I wish I had not listened more, because it's life. That's what happens. You look, but I wish I had recorded more of what my father said or the advice my mother gave me. or that woman or the helper there or Mshandi Uyo. I really wish I did, because, gosh, a lot of stuff that happens in my life now, I need that advice so much. I need that guidance. And when you don't have my parents are late now, so the physical presence of them telling me physically in whether it's in my relationship with my marriage, whether it's my journey that I'm asking God to say, but why now? What is this? Why now? Now what? You know? So, yeah, my influences, great, my parents, my father, American culture, the woman I am today, and that book that we call the Bible. My journey with my creator, which I'm still going, now. What a beautiful journey. But I'm going to dare say this because I know, Nyenge, if I leave now, Mkomong, and I'm hit by a bus and I die, don't worry. Because my highway is okay. Me and my God, we're straight like that. We're cool. That's where I sit today as I sit here. I know. I know I'm going to have a long life. That I know for a fact. But I am ready because my influence and the journey I'm traveling, it's such a privilege to be alive. It's such a privilege to be alive.
Right?
It is. And it's a great time. Yeah. Here in Zimbabwe, it's a great time to be alive. But now, still, I get influenced a lot. I now have children. I'm a mom. Who would have thought, hey? Hey, you met me. You were still a young lady. Can you remember? Yeah. Who would have thought that was your missus?
My niggy.
That was my and so my Yambuko, my Alex. So my children now also are beginning to influence. It sounds a bit odd that a childhood, but the things they say and they do every day, I catch my breath, take a step back, and I learn. Sometimes it's their own conversations, the two between Yambuko and Alex, and they're talking, and I say to Anish, listen. And we're like, okay, we've learned. So my influence now, a lot of Yambuko and Alex are influencing.
Wow.
I am. It's amazing. Life
is amazing, just being present in the moment.
You have to be. That's why it's called the present. You have to be in the moment. Live it like that. My Murora was an Aigarwe who you missed, unfortunately. I would have loved for you. And she loves you dearly. She follows you. She always used to say it, Tete, live your best life. And I just thought and you see, it's a cliche, but when you live it, when you live your best life and you're living it, honey,
good.
It's good.
Right.
Life is good.
Life is good.
Life is good, girl.
Yeah.
Life is good.
Yeah. I love that. I love what you're saying, because I think a lot of people want to search for joy, but joy is within. And once you have that joy, even when things are going bad, somehow you manage to. I always say that to people. When people look at my post, they're like, "Oh, you're always happy." And I said, you know what? When you have that inner peace, inner joy,
come on.
It's just even when things are going hard, you have that inner peace that comes with just knowing God, and that journey. That's where I want to take now. Your journey with getting to know your maker, God, how has that been? And the other journey of becoming a mom, how was that? The first time when you gave birth and you looked at your child.
Oh my goodness. Firstly, both pregnancies were the worst thing ever. If I could I don't wish pregnancy on anybody, as in the journey. I'm speaking my truth, girl. I'm telling you, yo. I have endometriosis. I have stage 4 endometriosis. So every now and then when a flare comes, and that's a whole other topic, I gotta come back, girl, because we're gonna do it. Because a lot of us don't say
don't wear each other's clothes.
Listen, and drink this, jump this. Some will say, listen, yes, pani Jeko. It's very true. Jeko is, if I can put it, when we come to Shona, and remember, I'm not a medical practitioner. I'm a person who lives this life. Jeko is a very bad period pain, what they probably call dysmenorrhea scientifically. And every now and then, it's all right for you to feel some discomfort during your period, But it's not okay for a woman every month that she goes on her cycle, she feels pain. We were not designed. God did. I always say, Mari, yes, I got to tell you about birth, but every time you must suffer like that. And then you must not birth. And then you must be barren. No. That is not what we were designed. It's not normal for women to suffer every month. So when I got the diagnosis, for the longest time, from the time I was 13 to 17, we thought it was cysts. We thought it was fibroids. So every 3 months, I'm going to have an operation. If you look at me, I'm cut. Not because our doctors back then, I was 94, 95, 96, 97. With what the information they had then is what they worked with. So when they did scans, they would see pockets of cysts. When they did scans, they would see the fibroids. But that wasn't the problem. The problem was in a condition called endometriosis that does not have a cure yet. I will say this again, please. Yes, Jego no rapika. Yes, Jego, period pain, you can take your painkillers, you can drink this herb, they say also with birth, sometimes the period pain goes off.
Mine went away after, I used to have bad period pains. But when I had my first child,
pains, right.
like really bad, like in terms of I used to throw up, temperature, everything. Yeah. But the day after I gave birth to my daughter and I finished breastfeeding and I went back on my periods, I actually accidentally messed up because they just started. And I was like, what? Because before...
But you knew the signs of the...
I would be...
Well, right now,
temperature
I'm so 3 you, girl.
So I was one of the few lucky ones.
Yeah. Yeah. Good for you. Well, I mean, lucky... I don't know if it's lucky. I don't know what it is, but good for you. Because it's not endometriosis.
Definitely not.
It's not endometriosis. But 1 in 10. Not 1 in 10 in America. Not 1 in 10 in South Africa. But 1 in 10 Munomu Zimbabwe here has a condition called endometriosis. So when your daughter in school every month is missing that hockey match or those that sports or can't swim or whatever it is, and everybody in class knows, oh, she's on her period now. I went through that. The psychology of that everybody knows. In my whole career up until I started the acting, I lost jobs because I was termed lazy. I'm not productive. I'm not a team player. Whenever it comes to the crunch, I don't show up. It's because I can't get up. I couldn't get up to go, and because of the condition, it's totally demobilizing. How you felt then, 10 times magnified.
I know my youngest daughter has it, so I know.
Being a mom, they had said to me, number one, that I'll never have a child because of the condition. When I got that diagnosis, I was 19 with my dad. I'd gone to my dad had said, Manong was not a piece of meat, that you are. He
always did that.
Yeah, he would say because of the anesthetic, he would call it under the shadow of death. He said, I can't have her going under the shadow of death all the time. You guys don't know what you're doing. And I went to America. Then I ended up in school, but I'd actually gone for medical a reason.
Your father was very progressive.
My dad was ahead of his time, which is why we have Gutoko Mrewa today, or New Marlborough, where you have my name, my Pireke, you hear, my father was ahead. Others only read of people like this in books. I lived with him. I only said now at 46. But from day one up until he passed 4 years ago, I did not realize the value I had. So when I say to you, if I could turn back the hands of time, the strength that I had to pull through the cervical cancer journey, I drew from remembering things that my father said to me in moments of hardness, things that my mother said to me. Sorry. In moments, so,
sure.
If I could have, I'm grateful. I'm so grateful that I had a father like mine. And yes, I didn't capitalize back then, but that is life. But best believe, now that I'm aware, that legacy of the man called Samson Katsande Mapireke Eyomkono of Mutoko is never going to die. I will not make it. That's not going to happen. Amen. Yeah, and he set such a pace. I have such a blessing. I miss a lot of people. A lot of people. And I sit back and I'm like, not because your parents didn't work hard for you, no. But we had that blessing. I didn't choose to be born in a family of wealth or in a family with a father who had a vision ahead of his time. I didn't choose that. So I always ask God, when you say to me, my journey with God, which is taking us to there now, I'm constantly saying every morning, so what exactly, show me what you want me to do with this platform. I'm not just blessed with the gift of coming from a background that I don't remember one day. I'm not being arrogant. I'm not a chokwadi tangu. I don't remember one day pandika shaya. There's never, it's not, I'm not showing off. I'm just saying that it is inyash, it is grace, but what do I do with this that I have? So my journey right now with Christ, with Nengwari, my creator, is, then I became this public celebrity where I say something and you wake up and you've got 2,000 shares on something where I was just venting like anybody else, but suddenly it's an influence or it's an impact. What do I do with that? And sometimes it feels physically, and I feel like I'm letting God down. I'm not doing enough. Okay, I had the biggest shame that we had, that I, in my sense, with the leaked sex tape. I'll say it now. I mean, yes, it's 13, 14 years ago. Neshan didn't, where I come from, and how it happened, and the person who did it and then leaked it and all this stuff, yeah? And the biggest ever. And I'm here today with an even bigger following, not because of a sex tape, but because they say, you are still standing, Tin. I want to be just like you. What a gift. So many. Show me. Send people to me. Do something, because I'm not very good at in between the lines. I'm a very pragmatic. That's why Andy and I get along, because we're very like this.
Pragmatic,
yeah. Listen, it's black or white. The grays I don't understand, because I can put some pink and it's pink gray. Yeah. So I'm not doing that. Yeah. So my journey with Christ is number one, forgiveness. I needed to learn forgiveness from the time that my mom passed over. It's almost 20 years ago, because I really felt that, because I was in California doing my thing, girl. I was living my life. Then Clara goes and has an accident. Then she goes into a coma for 4 years, a coma. Then this sanction thing starts, because dad is chief of the senators. Then andishakwanisa kupinda kunzizvo ndiri kuko, andishakwanisa passport yangu kudzokera. I'm stuck here. But what happened? Hi, where are you? This is my late brother Rudy. I'm at the lake. Girl, I was having a good time. We are you saw panel production in the studio 263. We are you. Come now. Where? I said, what production? What is that? I had never acted in my life. Only I went to Chizzy Junior. That they also were a big influence. I want to say that you ask about influence of where I am today. Chizzy PT Junior School. The teachers I had, the staff, Nyengeterai, whether it's the groundsman, molded me a lot into this person as a child. I want to tell you that. I want to give shout out to my teachers back then in the 80s of Chizzy Junior School. They really set the pace. I don't know if they're still doing it now. I pray Chizzy's still doing that now. But schools like that. And my father always said the biggest legacy that you can leave a child is not money, it's education. My father strongly believed, and I come from a polygamous background. My father had several wives, although at any given time he had one. But we have different mothers. They would come and leave, but he never allowed them to take their children, which at that time was very hurtful. I can say, especially as a girl child. I had the blessing of my mom was there throughout until she passed. The 28 years that shows the Baba, I was there. So, so Baba kept us as children. We got the best in education. We got the best exposure. We got the best in, at that time it seemed like this is a very cruel guy. But like I said, that man was ahead of his time. And he believed in Mariwao. And he would say, Mariwango, actually, God's, my father had his Bible, even as a chief, Babango Vaitonga under the tree, kumtambazi kwamtogo, kumuzi, with the Bible here, and he would sit there and do the tradition. He says, who told you? Then when the Papa got he had the Bible on the side. So my mother said that the biggest naka she would leave me is the Bible, which is what she left me. My father said the biggest naka he would leave me is an education, which he did. And I'm grateful for that. Very grateful for that. So it's important, guys, invest in the children's money. It's not, and it's not about ukutuzo ndichengeta. No. Kutazo ndichengeta iye. You know what I mean? Yeah. So let's put when it comes to education and children, let's make sure you put the best. Sacrifice. My school fees are my chichi for the best. Is the best. Let's do that. Do that for the kids. Do that. That's the biggest. It's the best legacy.
Love that.
Education.
Love that. So you got the call.
Oh, yeah. So Rudy says, come, and ZBC. Look, I've just landed. I think I'd landed in Zimbabwe for, it was about 7 months.
What year was this?
2001. 2001. Yeah, around that time. And at Spillway, there was a gig happening, and my hair was, remember I became a woman in California. So I
left a little girl, came back as a woman.
And my dad, shame bless his heart, he couldn't deal with, because I came there lighting up, he's stressing me, and I opened my bag, I light a cigarette, and my dad nearly passed out. So can you imagine now when I started acting, he said, but I'm grateful that by the time before, because my dad did the pass and he had dementia, but before that, and with the birth of my son, because we became very estranged when my mother had her accident. My mother was always the buffer between my father and I being the youngest as well, from my siblings, also had a bit of its own connotations to it. So, I drive, okay, I'm going to say it now because it's my truth. I didn't even know how I made it, girl, because I had that alcohol in the system. I don't want to lie. I don't do it anymore. And I arrived at ZBC, and it was getting dark, I remember. And there were a lot of people. Apparently, they'd been advertising on ZBC for this new production, a new soap called Studio 263 that was coming up. I have no idea. And I get this. So they've auditioned to other parts of Mumbai, Tombambo, Ben. It's like
shout out to Ben.
Shout out to Ben, y'all. So they've done all that. They had one spot left that they were looking, and there was a character called Joyce. Now, I arrived there. I remember walking. This is my first audition ever. I've never done in school as Chizzy. I'm not going to say it was racist. But in hindsight, now looking, we never really got back in the 80s. We didn't get the roles of being. I'm speaking my truth. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, we didn't get the upfront roles, even though we got the choir. Yes, we were always in the singing in the choir. Yeah, or the tree.
Yes,
or the Chongololo. I'm saying past that I played, and I was the tail of the Chongololo. We never got the speaking roles. And look at me now, I'm an actress, so I was good. So don't tell me I wasn't good in acting. But they had their own system, which if I look now, sort of in the world we're living in, I'm kind of saying, were you trying to quite racist? Yeah, or, were you being a bit prejudiced? Or maybe I just wasn't good at that time, but now I was good, y'all.
No, I understand. I was at a private school, so
in those days,
there were like a few blacks. So you got it, yeah.
So anyway, I arrived there, and I remember there was Godwin Mauru, there was Dorothy Chizao, who has put so much in the acting industry in Zimbabwe. I have so much respect for her. My brother Rudy, the late Rudy, who had been in Neri and been in productions before as well. He was sort of in the background there. It was sponsored by PSI at that time.
Yes.
And the PSI guys were also there. And then they said, hi, how are you doing? And all I'm doing at that moment is I'm craving. I need another cigarette. That was nice. I stood there saying, I'm okay, thank you. How are you? And they said, okay, well, listen, we want you to, they didn't give me a script. They said, this is the scenario. There's a girl called Vimbai. She's your best friend. You grew up in Glenview together. Yeah, she was your best friend. You went to Glenview Junior School, whatever it is. Then Vimbai's, your dad got promoted, so you moved up to Mount Pleasant. So maybe now you're going to Mount Pleasant Girls High, whatever. But she's still in the location, Anditi. But you're still friends. But you've moved enough. You've moved schools, whatever it is. Anyway, your friend Vimbai has won the competition of Miss Harare, and she's going to win Miss Zimbabwe. But she's just called you and she said, Joyce, my friend, I'm pregnant. What would you say? Yenge?
And about you're drunk and you're craving for a second cigarette?
Girl, they said, I didn't even know what that was. But it actually had something. I said, what is this now? They said, okay, action. I said, oh, okay. But it wasn't part of what I wanted to say, but I needed a cigarette. And I went down, opened my bag, took out my cigarette, and my dad had bought me an Ericsson phone. It was a long, thick brick phone at that time. It was an Ericsson. So it was on the top, and I put it here, took out the cigarette. I really wanted the cigarette. And I lit my cigarette, and I said, hello, and I said, girl, I know you're pregnant. I don't want to know who it is. You're going to win. If I like you are not going to stay in the ghetto. Mangwana chaye, I'm going to call my friend, he's a doctor. I'm going to pick you up. We sort this out. Don't tell anybody because you're going to win. In other words, I was saying we're going to have an abortion. Before I'd even finished, I'm smoking my cigarette thinking, before I finish that, cut! I'm hearing, cut! Everybody's, yeah! And then I'm like, okay, what did they do? Number one, they needed a girl child because the character of Joyce Hooney smoked cigarettes. I didn't know this.
Know that.
I had not seen it. I didn't know. I just wanted to smoke.
Talk about being at the right time, needing a cigarette at the right time.
About the rightful seasons when God opened those doors, whichever way that they come in. When you are open to receive the opportunity, when you're seeing it, allow things to go the way they need to be. So only later I found out that, yes, your acting is great, but the first thing is, we were actually going to say, can you pretend to smoke? So the moment you lit your cigarette, we're like, wait a minute, she's a shorter girl. On national TV, does she know? She has no problem with it. I was like, I need a cigarette, y'all. So then they said to me, are you willing to dedicate? We have a production. It's about HIV awareness, the use of condoms, going to get tested HIV, because back then it was a real push. Remember, every other billboard was about get tested for HIV, which really helped us as a nation.
It did.
I'm grateful. I'm grateful for that. I said, for 2 years, knowing that I can't get a visa to go back. My mom was laying in a coma at Bordal, Dandaru. My dad and I are very estranged. Okay, is he going to pay me? You're going to give me money, my own money? Yeah, he will pay. Oh, okay, where do I sign? 2 years ended up to be 20-something years.
Wow.
Those few episodes ended up, I was supposed to come in as a side plot. And, in television, a screen time is what pays you more, the more, So it's the whole Studio 263, and Ben can tell you, was really set up more on the Jari family. With Tendai, who's now one of our honorable ministers, and then Wimbai, because that's where we were the side to just put there. But when they began to get calls to say, can your partner Joyce, Boa? And they had that guy upstairs, when you allow him to do what he needs to do in your life, honey, you never lose. All you do is win. When you allow him. And okay, now you always talk about God. All right, I'll take a step back. Earlier on, you said, when you have peace, you cannot have peace. And who created you? It doesn't matter whether you're Muslim, Hindu, Indian, Baha'i faith, chi. When you have peace, peace comes from the connector, he that created you. He that is God. So that's how I started. Wow. Then it just never. And I was actually one of the last men standing up, the original characters that played on Studio 263. What an honor. What a privilege. Studio became a culture. I left the States when Beverly Hills 90210 was huge. It was a culture.
It was a culture.
I came here, and in hindsight now, which is why we're remembered from Studio, your old generation remembers Joyce Hooney.
From Studio 263
for 20 years ago. But when the peace comes from that connection of who am I? Peace can only come when and what you stand for. It will blow this way. So when you know who you are, and we're not saying you're good or bad, don't worry about, am I a good person or bad? That's not who you are. Good or bad is not who you are as far as the journey that I have lived.
It's true.
But when I know who I am, meaning that when you ask me something and I can stand by it and tell you why I stand, I know who I am. I know who I am. And that comes because that connection has said, you are that generation. You are chosen, You have an anointing, Tinopona. I know who I am. I have peace. I'm okay.
And you know what I love about even your story? That, when we have a tendency as humans to judge people. So probably someone was judging.
We wouldn't be human if we don't judge.
But at that time, and I always say that this is what the beauty of God God will take us through these seasons, highs and lows and whatever. He will take us, he will bake you, he will, I mean, like if you look at that verse in John where it says, I will prune you. Like sometimes the pruning is so difficult, but look at it when a grape vine is pruned or a tree is pruned, look how it flourishes.
Look at that fruit.
Yeah,
how
and sometimes
that grape
the pruning season is not great. It's so painful. And the pruning season comes in various ways. And I can see, like what you're saying, how the pruning season has come. When I look at your life and I look at you now, and where he's taking you and how you've stayed relevant. So take me through that. Take me through your cervical journey, survival issue, the ins and outs, that pruning process, and how it's brought us here today.
No, as much as I'm a public personality, I'm exposed and what, I'm not going to go for a yearly pap smear. No, I'm not. Yeah, I can test myself, my mammograms, because but no, I'd never been for. And besides, if I have a problem with endometriosis, they're always digging down there anyway. If there's a problem, they would have found it. That was always my attitude towards anything, gynecological on my body, because I have a upside down system down there. But anyway, by his grace, upside down, I've got 2 kids, y'all. Hallelujah. So, it starts with a discharge. And we're women. We all have a discharge. It's a yeast infection, whatever it is. But it's a smelly one. It gets smelly. So initially it starts and I'm thinking, no, this is not endometriosis. This can't be. Cancer, I didn't think of. Cancer is not something you think and you first thing you think, it must be cancer. I'm thinking, Andy's having an affair. It's an STI. Because I know I ain't stepping out. So I ain't stepping out. So why do I have this discharge? And it's getting really smelly. So because of who we are, and we've got friends in the pharmacy world and doctors, you go see your friend, the pharmacist, and, she gave me some antibiotics and it cleared. A couple of months later, it came back with a vengeance. That kind of odor that you can't even be intimate with your husband. I was giving excuses to Andy because the whole room would clunk. I get a chance to go out of the country very quickly, South Africa, across to do a commercial, whatever. And across the road, there's a women wellness. And I said, nobody knows me here. They're going to go and I go inside. They do what they need. In South Africa, their system is fast. I come back in after it was like 48 minutes. She says, okay, Miss Katsande. So, as you can see here, she's showing me. And she says, as you can see here, these white dots means the cancer cells have spread out. Cancer? I just remember, I heard cancer.
Everything else, yeah.
Immediately, I was already thinking, right, I'm going to be buried next to my mom. I want blue flowers. And then also I was already. Everything else that she said, or then you need to start. So let me link up with the guy now. Are you staying in South Africa? They said, yeah, the oncologist, I didn't even. It took me almost 2 months to tell Andy. Because I had to deal with it first myself.
That's true. That's the thing with cancer.
Yeah.
And what stage was this?
2B, early stages. And as I sit here now, what happened? Early detection will save your life.
Early detection, yeah.
Early detection will save your life. Ndapota hangu, please go and get screened. Catch it before, number one, it becomes cheaper in the medications that because you're catching it, it's not a big thing. Number two, you will live. I'm here today. Yes, cancers are different. Some are, but hey, I'm here. I'm a living testimony.
But tell me about
the attitude.
Cancer journey, though.
It's brutal.
It's brutal, right?
It's brutal mentally. It's brutal physically. It's brutal financially. It's brutal spiritually. You get to a point you can't even say, dear Jehovah, you can't. It gets to that level. And it is at that level that if you yourself don't ignite, people always say to me, you're so strong, you're so whatever it is. Each and every one of us is there. You need to, just like your phone, it's like your phone that have all the settings. We are inbuilt with strength. You've got to activate it. No one is going to come and give you a plate of strength. No one does that. I'm telling you now. If you don't think it, if you don't have the faith and believe in yourself that I need to get where I need to get to, you won't get there. The word says, and we said also in Shona, we said a lot that, the things we say are, that things, if you can think it, you can do it. The words that you say are so powerful. So when I said, I will live, I shall not die. I am living and I'm not going to die. Not from this, not from cancer anyway. That's not my portion. Positive attitude. I cannot stress it enough. Listen, when you have a life-changing, life-altering diagnosis, cancer or HIV, it doesn't matter, whatever it is, when they say stress kills, it's not a joke. Because physically in the body, things happen. You excrete certain things that go to give you my ulcer that then cause a disease that diagnosis stress kills. Keep positivity. Keep that energy around you, your vibe. I don't care if it's your mother-in-law. If she's coming to a space to bring you down, tell her, not at my house. I don't care if it's your pastor. If you're feeling that the word you're hearing is bringing you down, not today, pastor. Thank you. Please don't come to my house. No cell group in my house. I don't want that energy. Shut off negative energy. Shut off negative vibes. Live positive every day, every single day. Live the best that you can live with positive energy. Whether it's your staff, your employees, whatever it is, honey, do positive. You get there. Live positively in everything that you're doing, that energy that you give out. The energy and the peace and the light. It just comes and it keeps rolling and you attract it. You give it out, it comes in. You give it out, it comes in. You give it out, it comes in. That's life. That's what I'm living.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I remain relevant. Back then, you old people know me as Joyce Hooney. But I walk out now. I'm at 2Ks in the junior schools in Yambuko's 9-8-year-old friends are calling me Getty or my Hooney because I'm relevant still, because I'm on, and it's in Kenyasha by grace. I'm so grateful. In our industry, you got to keep looking young because everybody, in the acting world, and you got to keep relevant. I don't go looking for it. People call me Nyenge. Hi, Tino. I've got a role for you by his grace. I don't go for auditions. They call me. I've written this for you, Tino. I wrote this with you in mind. What a blessing.
What a blessing.
What a blessing.
What a blessing. Yeah. What a blessing. And how God would just put you in certain, God would put you in certain situations, that you never thought would bring you here. But here we are.
Can I ask you a question? It's your interview, but can I ask? What is your take on this, what is your personal take, Nyenge? I love you so much. What is your take on this thing of saying God never gives you more than you can handle?
We need a whole interview for that. Yeah. We actually need a whole interview for that. And I love what you've just said. We actually planning because people have been asking. There's so many questions people are asking about me. But yes, we're going to do an interview, and I want to tell you, I actually have a lot to say about that. A lot, but I'll say it. I'll say it at the time, at the right time. So just to close us off, I know we still have a lot, and I still want to unpack so much of. I want to unpack. Not like an onion. I feel like my outer layers, we've not really unpacked it. So we're going to have another conversation. Because of our time, okay. I just want to close off with just a few fun questions.
Okay.
So what's your favorite color and why?
I don't have a favorite color.
Why?
Because I rock it all, girl. Okay. All these things are created. I don't do favorite colors. I say, what works with that? Today? Yeah.
No, you love that.
Yeah. No, I don't do favorite color.
You don't do. And your favorite animal?
All of them. Okay. Mandlo. There's no way. It's an elephant. She is beautiful.
I actually saw you dancing. There was some function you went to a few weeks ago.
The king is there, the Netherlands ambassador. Yes.
And then they said someone was singing.
It was Prudence.
Yes. Singing. And then she said, Zoe, and then you went running.
Yes. It was interesting. The elephant.
I love that. Okay, I love that. What's one book that's made an impact in your life?
One?
Yeah, one or two.
Wow. It's going to sound cliche, but it's the word. Number one is the Bible. That's the way to. But then, I hate that question. There's so many. Because it's not a whole complete book. It's probably those 3 chapters. And because I'm an artist, the storyline, I can take from that character this and join it to that. But there are a lot of fictional books, actually. It's to be honest. Rumbi Chen, she's an author. She's based in Australia, but she writes a lot of books. I read a lot of her books. Rumbi, she has latest one called, I think it's latest, that's the one I have. Landing in 15 minutes. 15 minutes to land. Landing in 15 minutes. Yeah, and she did a fictional thing about a pilot in Zimbabwe. That storyline, that was actually, it's fictional. It's relaxing, but that made an impact. And I know probably someone wants me to say some big rich dad, poor dad or something. No, that's not me.
Okay.
No.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah.
I'm not.
I used to be a big fictional reader when I was younger. Now I read more like yourself.
I've gone back to fiction. No. I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to.
I love that. Yeah. So, and the song, what's your favorite song?
It is in the whole wide world. It is a hymn in the United Methodist Church, and it's called Tinopona Munoda. But it's since I was a teen, and since that's it embodies everything of who I am, the essence of who I am, where I want to be, and everything. In physical, spiritual, that's my most favorite song.
And how do you relax? You've had a hard day and you get home. How do you relax?
Is everybody sorted? Have you eaten? Is homework done? This is this. Do not come. I have my own room. Yeah, it's not even a war room. There's actually there's a big TV and they can come in. But Andy knows everybody. I shut. Like a cave. Andy's building his own in one of the garages at home. A caveman in the house. I turned one of the rooms. That's my, and I closed the door. And depending on the day, should I want to watch a movie? Should I want to read a book? I don't have one thing that I say this is going to relax me, because it depends on how especially physically. Sometimes I'm going through an endometriosis thing. My usual relaxing of watching TV, you can't, because you're continuously moving. You can't. So it could be I'm going to go for a walk. So it varies. Like I said, it's my life now. I live my best life in the present, in that time, in the present. So there's not one thing that I do to relax. No, it depends on my journey. Yeah. So I embrace it all. Maybe it will be skydiving next. That will give me a relaxing thing. You never know.
Never know.
Maybe the rush is what I want.
Yeah. And a movie that you've watched that, you always remember and you love.
Such a movie lover of everything. Although I do radio, I'm not a radio DJ. I'm a radio personality. I talk, as you can see. My all-time favorite was called, which one should I say now? Let me be quick. Come, tin, 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 tin. But the line that starred Kevin Costner, what is it called now? And that one line that he said was, "Build and they shall come." He was in the fields. Please, somebody tell me the name of it. I watched it. I was a child. It starred Kevin Costner. It wasn't Bruce Willis. It was Kevin Costner. And it's got fields. It was about, he was a farmer and they were growing. And then he heard that he needed to clear and build. And he said, "But why should I?" And the word that came to him was, "Build and they shall come." So the storyline wasn't, but that line, I remember I was 14 when I watched that. That line has always stuck with me. Tino, build and they shall come.
We should look for it and we'll
tag
it at the end of this. Yeah. We'll look for it and find out what it is.
That's my all time.
Okay. So this is your last day on earth and you're about to transcend. And what is the one thing that you say, "You know what, God, I'm ready to go because I've done what?"
But when I began, I already told you.
I know.
Should I be taken today? I'm okay for the journey of travel then, because I have done in those phases, I have done everything. I can't even give you one thing, say, God, you can take me because I've done. I've told people about going to get screened for cervical cancer. That's no. In every facet, as I sit here at 46 now, and I just turned 46.
Oh, happy birthday.
I have been there, done that, good or bad. There's nothing you can tell me about drugs, honey. Been there, done that, worn the t-shirt. So don't come to me and talk about drugs. I'll tell you about drugs because been there, done that. But I'm here today. Nothing you can tell me about shame and embarrassment and what. From window to president, knew what my vagina looks like. You understand? So don't come to me with the shame and embarrassment. I've been there. My spiritual journey, whatever it is, been there, done that, worn the t-shirt. I'm here today. Come, bring the illnesses, the cancer, the endometriosis, the anemia, the what, bring it. I'm here today.
And I love that while we are there, just give me 5 life lessons that you've learned in your 46 years. 5 life lessons that you want to impart to our viewers.
Number 1, be kind. Be kind. Be kind. Be kind. Be kind. Those are the 5.
Be kind. Be kind. We've packed our bags. We have our passports. Where are we flying off to?
Greece, girl. Woo, I need to go to Greece.
Any particular city or just Greece?
Greece? No. I want Greece. I want to tour Greece. I want to go to the fields, the farms. Then I want to go to where they have the blue water with the white that I see. Greece. Yeah. Take me to Greece, girl.
Yeah. All right, Tintin. It's been amazing having you. But just to close off the show, there's an area that you talked about that we really didn't get into. And I really wanted to really unpack that because I think a lot of people walk with it, carry it, but they just don't want to get out of it. Shame. And
there's comfort in shame.
There is.
People find comfort in discomfort. That's where the problem is. And one thing that sorry to cut you off there. One thing, fear. Fear perpetuates and propels shame and gives shame such a chest and it's fear, and it's fear of Everybody knows, how will I be accepted now? Fear of how will I move on? Fear. So go back to your question, girl.
So my question is to those viewers out there, because this is one of the questions that I get a lot, amongst other questions, where people ask me that I have this shame, I've done this, but I don't know how to move beyond this, and I just felt that, with what you went through and who you are and how you've come out of it, I think you'd be one of the best people to just give that one girl, two girls, two females, three females, one male, just that advice as we close off the show.
I need you to forgive yourself. It sounds very cliche and people, I don't care what the story is. Number one, I need you to, even before you go, before your God and say, Lord, forgive me. I'm ashamed. I'm repenting. Firstly, forgive yourself. You need to forgive yourself. Once you find that forgiveness, I'm a living testimony. Once you forgive yourself, and forgiveness means, number one, you take accountability. Whether you were there or not there, it had something to do with you. Be accountable. Stop blaming and saying it was his fault and he did this. And take accountability. With that comes responsibility, right? After responsibility, you then are able to move forward. Forgive yourself. Be accountable for the role that you played for that shame to come in. And the rest, you'll say, is history. Forgive yourself first. The rest will start, just like a river, to start flowing. Forgive yourself.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Tintin. This has been amazing. And I wish you could go on, but we're gonna do a part 2, because I think there's so many things that we still want to talk about the cervical cancer journey, because there are a lot of women going through that. We want to talk about the production, the evolving, the becoming, everything.
And how to remain relevant. Even within your own life, your own circle. You wouldn't know I'm Kuru in the family. When you first came, you were the biggest thing. And then of that, the mothers can know you're not. Remain relevant. How? It's important to remain relevant. It means it keeps you going.
Fantastic. Yay. I love that. So, to our audience, have a fantastic week. And I just want you to remember that stop walking in shame, forgive yourself, and to remain relevant, you have to continue evolving. So I'll see you next week, and thank you so much. Bye.